What's the correlation between the Moscow murders and Delphi? The number 13, of course. And what's so special about the number 13? Well, on 11/13/22, the Moscow murders were committed at 3 in the morning. You think to yourself, well, what's so big about the number 13? It's immensely huge in the astrology world, in the cult world, and it holds a lot of different meanings. Let's get into some of the meanings right here. Justice for the Idaho Poor. Kaylee, Maddie, Xana, and Ethan. What corruption is going on behind the scenes at the University of Idaho? The importance of the number 13. Number one, moon travels 13 degrees across the sky each day. Number two, 13 weeks in each of the 4 seasons. Number three, 13 lunar cycles each year, or 13 menstrual cycles each year. Number four, 13 represents end of a cycle and rebirth of a new cycle. Number five, 13 weeks between equinox and solstices. Number six, 13 is a power number in nature and in spirit. Number seven, 13 is the only teen number in the Fibonacci sequence. Number eight, in religion, Jesus had 12 disciples, making 13 of them. Buddha had 13 disciples. Islam had a prophet and 12 imams, making 13. Number nine, we have 13 chakras, not 7. Number 10, in a prime number, 13 is incorruptible in nature. Number 11, 13 major joints in the body. Number 12, 12 constellations around our sun, making 13. Number 13, 13 is the most powerful number in observable nature. Xana and Ethan were never happy. Rest in peace. Is this the stakeout at Brent Kopaka's house? Because that does look like a sniper, does it not? See, 13 weaves into everything about Moscow. There's a grub truck photo. There's the city of Moscow. Is that the police talking to either Brian Koberger's neighbors or Brent Kopaka's neighbors? We do this for the victims, Xana, Maddie, Ethan, and Kaylee. We don't do this for Dylan or Bethany because I believe they're lying. It's only a 14-minute drive to Pullman. It's a straight shot. Another grip truck photo. Is that Maddie and Kaylee walking back there? Or who is that walking back there? You might as well call the grub truck an open air drug market because there's drug buys that goes on in that area. Justice for the Idaho Four. Justice for Maddie, Xana, Kaylee, and Ethan. They're gone, but they're not forgotten. And we will not stop until we learn the truth on what's going on in Moscow. And we will not stop until all the corruption is unearthed. What their bedrooms look like in the house. House frozen in time until it was torn down December 27th, 2023, at the behest of the University of Idaho. What are they trying to hide? What is Scott Green trying to hide? Why did he want the house torn down so quickly? They should have kept it up until the trial. Does the corruption seep down into the Moscow police department? Nobody really knows. Some more grub truck shots. Is the college corrupt? Is the cult of Odin behind it? No one really knows. No one knows who's behind it. Could be the cult. It could be the frat. Who did these innocent young kids piss off? Now, see, I heard that there wasn't just one killer that night. I heard there was two. That's what I heard. Let's take a look at the meaning of the number 13. The number 13 has different meanings in numerology. In spirituality, it is a number of focus, pragmatism, independence, creativity, and building a secure foundation for the future. It also represents action, positive energy, movement, change, growth, and spiritual awakening. The number 13 can be seen as a sign of bad luck or misfortune in some cultures, but also as a symbol of inspiration and hard work in others. It is a powerful and mystical number that may appear to you as an angelic message. I don't think it's an angelic message. What does the number 13 mean in astrology? The number 13 represents the combined energy of the numbers 1 and 3, and it is a number that was a very strong symbolism and has great power. Number 1 ha- has a vibration of new ideas, new beginnings, and progress. And I think these kids were killed as a sacrifice because the number 13 is power to people. That's what I believe. Could possibly Sigma Chi be behind it? I mean, you never truly know, guys, if Sigma Chi is behind it or not, because look at their crest. This is the Sigma Chi crest. Expect more. Expect more what? And look at the ring that they wear. We are just getting to the bottom of this, guys. We really are. And I do know that Sigma Chi, some of them have K bars. Oh, well, well, well. Sigma Chi Party, Xana and Ethan timeline, potential incident. Does anyone have any more information, ideally confirmed by authorities or families, on any potential incident that occurred at the frat attended by Ethan and Xana the night of the murders? Before they returned to the house, I believe Ethan and Xana were at a party at his fraternity that night, and I have seen many comments both on Reddit and other social pages about a supposed incident or fight that went down between that went down that night at the party they attended. Has anyone seen anything further about this or what the fight may entailed been about? I think it's interesting, as many others have commented, that Xana and Ethan's timeline that night is much less defined rather than the other victims, especially having attended a party where so many others were present. Could it be possible that this is because of LE is holding tight onto that info as it is key to the case POI? I also have seen conflicting information that places them at the frat party much later than initially stated in one of the LE released timelines, like 2 a.m. late. Note this has now been clarified per the PR update at the bottom. This thread is archived. So, what do we really know? What are they trying to hide from us? That's very interesting, though. Really is. What power does the number 13 have in this case and in Delphi? Because they're both linked to the number 13. I would love to be a fly on the wall when Brian is talking to his attorney, Ann Taylor, to see exactly what he knows and she knows and what's going on in this case. Now, you guys will love this.
This morning, police zeroing in on the movements of two of the University of Idaho victims, Xana Kernodle and Ethan Chapin, the night they were murdered, looking specifically at the hours between 9 p.m. and 1:45 a.m. when the couple was believed to be at Ethan's fraternity.
Why are you looking for more information specifically about where Xana and Ethan were in regards to his fraternity house?
That actually seems to be one of the larger areas that we don't have a lot of information in. And so being able to locate what they did that night, to maybe who they contacted, maybe any routes that they took home, that would be important for the investigation.
Xana and Ethan stabbed to death less than a block away at Xana's home, along with Kaylee Gonzalez and Madison Mogan, who were found on the top floor. Two roommates survived, along with Kaylee's dog, seen in this TikTok video. Authorities now say the dog was found inside the home, but in a separate room from the victims.
How important is the behavior of the dog in your investigation?
We don't believe that there was any appearance of forced entry into the home. And as well, at this time, we have not determined if the dog was inside the residence during the murders or not. What we do know is that the dog was inside when officers arrived. The dog did not appear to have any evidence on it.
Police also addressing information about the victim's manner of death after Kaylee's father said he learned his daughter's wounds were much more severe than her friends, fearing Kaylee was the target.
Please don't be my child. That's the target.
Police telling ABC News they have not provided the family with that information.
Authorities also telling me they're not attempting to refute what the family is saying. Ultimately, they want to protect the integrity of this investigation. But as time marches on, Steve tells us he's been approached by a private investigator to help solve this case. Kana Whitworth, ABC News, Los Angeles.
Oh, so now there's a private investigator.
We're learning more gruesome details about the deadly University of Idaho stabbings, including that one of the victims fought back as she was knifed to death. News Nation reports that Zana Kernodle grabbed the knife of the killer and had deep cuts on her fingers. The report also says her boyfriend, Ethan Chapin,
All they care about is Brian.
was killed in the doorway to her room and had a slit across his neck. News Nation reports that the victims, Kaylee Gonzalez and Madison Mogan, were killed first on the third floor of the college home. After that, the killer made their way to the second floor, where Kernodle and Chapin were staying. Previously, a preliminary coroner report stated the students were stabbed to death and did not mention any slash wounds. Initial reports also said all 4 victims were in bed at the time of their murders. For more than a month, the case went unsolved until suspect Brian Koberger was arrested in late December. Investigators say at the time of the murders, Koberger was a PhD student at Washington State University, about a 10-minute drive from the University of Idaho. He was arrested at his parents' home in the Poconos and waived the right to extradition at a hearing in Pennsylvania in early January. Days later, Koberger made his first appearance in Idaho court, represented by public defender Ann Taylor. Right now, he's being held at the Latah County Jail without bail. He's due back in court on June 26th for a preliminary hearing. Reporting.
Did you see that they had Dylan and Bethany's faces blurred out, guys?
The maximum penalty for this offense, if you were to plead guilty or be found guilty, is death or imprisonment for life. Do you understand?
Yes.
It's a true crime story captivating the nation after 4 University of Idaho students were brutally murdered last year. Since suspected murderer Brian Koberger appeared in Latah County, Idaho court on Thursday, we're learning more about the case. But there are still many unanswered questions. Why did the surviving roommates wait almost 8 hours after the murders to call 911? Why did the killer spare the life of Kaylee Gonzalez's dog? And perhaps most important, why were the lives of 2 roommates spared? We take a deep dive into those questions and more.
Well, people do different things under stress. And while it's detailed in the affidavit that she saw these things, we don't saw anything. He's moving around in the dark. He's got this mask over his nose and his mouth. He's already done what he's going to do, or he's on his way to do it. He's already focused on where he's headed.
Let's start with the basics. Why would the murderer spare the lives of 2 roommates in the off-campus home? According to Koberger's probable cause affidavit, a roommate referred to as DM says she saw a figure, quote, clad in black clothing and mask that covered the person's mouth and nose walking toward her. She told authorities she was in the, quote, frozen in shock phase as the killer walked past. After that, DM locked herself in her bedroom. While appearing on Long Crime's Sidebar podcast, legendary homicide detective Phil Waters said it's possible the murderer didn't even see DM at the time, thus sparing her life.
So he's not getting distracted with things going on around him. And remember, it's dark in there. So there's certainly, what it indicates to me is that he didn't see her. She saw him, which was certainly to her benefit.
We learned in the newly unsealed affidavit that investigators believe the murders happened between 4 and 4:25 a.m. on November 13th. But we also know a 911 call was not made until 11:58 a.m., nearly 8 hours later. Waters says it's possible DM was under a high level of stress or didn't know what happened, so she didn't react.
She locked the door and she was away from it, and she saw the guy leave. So maybe she thought at that point, he's gone. I'm locked in, and we're done here, not having any idea what had actually happened.
Both surviving roommates have received a lot of flack for the length it took to call 911, but it's also important to consider they could have been in a state of shock, intoxicated, or even both. In the initial days of the investigation, though, Idaho police said the 911 call would not be released as it was part of the ongoing investigation. But just days before Kohberger was arrested, Moscow Police Chief James Fry hinted that it could soon be released.
I think it'll be released when the prosecution believes that we can release that. That may be at trial. That may be before then.
Once the call is made public, we'll be sure to circle back with that information. But for now, let's take a look at was on the second floor, just feet from where Xana Kernodle and Ethan Chapin were stabbed to death. Speaking to Sidebar podcast host Jesse Weber before Kohberger's arrest, YouTuber and retired crime scene reconstructionist Johnny Law broke down the layout of the home.
Well, we know if you're looking at the sketch in 2B that's probably more than likely Xana's room. That's where she stayed, where Ethan probably would have been staying with her on November 13th.
That means, according to the sketch, DM was staying in room 3 times the morning of the murders. Once when she heard what she believed to be Kaylee Gonzalez's dog on the 3rd floor. Gonzalez's ex-boyfriend, Jack, according to court documents, Murphy was found unharmed in Gonzalez's room on the 3rd floor when investigators arrived. Now, some online trial watchers have since connected this with suspect Brian Kohberger's vegan diet. As Law and Crime has reported, the Latah County Jail is working to accommodate Kohberger's vegan diet, which is known widely as a lifestyle choice made by animal activists. So could the murderer's love of animals have kept Murphy safe? According to roommate DM, around the same time that she heard noises from the dog, she heard Gonzalez say something to the effect of, quote, "There's someone here." According to the affidavit, nearby security camera footage picks up repeated sounds of a dog barking at about 4:17 a.m. After that, DM says she heard a male voice say something like, quote, "It's okay, I'm going to help you," to who she believed was Kernodle. The next time DM opened her door, she saw the suspect, who she described as a man with bushy eyebrows. Since his arrest, many have noted Kohberger's eyebrows, saying they matched DM's description of the murder suspect. It's important to note, though, Kohberger is suspected of the murderers, but has not yet been convicted of the crime, nor has he pleaded guilty. And while the release of the affidavit finally gives us the surviving roommate's perspective from the night of the murders, it's not the first time we're hearing from them. Only identified through the initials DM and BF in the affidavit, surviving roommates Dylan Mortensen and Bethany Funk spoke out at a memorial service for the victims prior to Kohberger's arrest. A pastor read letters from both Mortensen and Funk.
To my 4 best friends who deserve to live a long, happy life, my life was greatly impacted to have known these 4 beautiful people. My people who changed my life in so many ways and made me so happy.
Though an arrest has been made,
Yeah. Dylan going, my life, my this, my that.
and the affidavit released, there are still many unanswered questions in this high-profile case. Was there a motive in the quadruple slaying? Did the suspect know any of the victims? For now, though, Kohberger is due back in Latah County Court on January 12th. Law and Crime Network will bring you the latest developments from that hearing next week. Reporting for Law and Crime Network, I'm Sierra.
Yeah, I don't believe anything that Bethany or Dylan say. I'm going to keep getting to the bottom of this, guys. You guys have a good night, and I'll try to drop a new video tomorrow and go to live sometime tomorrow. Peace out, guys. Hey, remember, like, subscribe, and share my channel. And hit the bell notification for new uploads. And smash that like button. And leave a positive comment.